Hi guys, Claudia Boleyn here, and today's video is addressing what's currently going on in America. What we've seen during lockdown, perhaps because of lockdown, is so much video footage, undeniable footage of police brutality towards the black community in America. Not just police brutality, police murder. And it's not that the problem's getting worse. This has always existed in America. If you speak to black activists and look at their work, they will tell you that this has been happening all along. But I think because of lockdown, because there isn't so much other news, people are paying attention. People are noticing that this is the reality. This is the everyday lives of black Americans. You know, a lot of people aren't at work. There's not a lot of other news stories going on. People are looking at their social media. And obviously because we live in a modern age where people can record on their phones, it is easy to record things, we are starting to see that concrete evidence. So it's getting harder and harder for racists to deny that this problem exists, even though they've been gaslighting the black community over this for generations. Now, I had to make this video emotionally. I'm on social media a lot. I saw the video of the murder of George Floyd. I've been following what's going on, and I just feel so angry, so upset by it that I needed to make this and put this out there. But I also don't want to be speaking over black activists and black voices who are talking about this. So the way I've decided to make this video is I want to address this video to people who are white watching this, or people who are other people of colour, people who are white passing. I say other people of colour because this is a problem that is particularly unique to the black community. That's why it's Black Lives Matter. I'm not saying that other races don't receive racism. Of course other races do. I'm half Indian myself, half English. I come from a big Indian family, and they have faced so much racism ever since they came to this country. But also, as we know, other minority communities contain a lot of anti-blackness as well, and that has to be addressed. So this is not an issue about all people of colour. This is specifically a Black Lives Matter issue. Also, a couple of disclaimers before I get into this. First of all, please, if you're one of those people whose all lives matter, I've explained this so many times before. People are explaining this all over the place. I can't understand how anyone's saying this unless they're using it as a derailment tactic. Black Lives Matter does not mean that only Black Lives Matter, but it's the black lives that are currently at risk from police, from their own president at the moment. And I say from their own president, but also we have huge issues of anti-blackness here in the UK, which I will get into. But Black Lives Matter does not mean that other lives don't matter. You know, if I make a video about how the mental health services in the UK are underfunded by the Tory government, and there needs to be better services, especially for young people with mental health issues, that's not me saying that, oh, but people who break their legs shouldn't get adequate care. And second of all, I know I'm going to get comments about the use of the term white people. The reason I'm saying white people in this video, and the why I'm saying white passing, is that I think it's really important that people get over that discomfort. I think that part of the racism from well-meaning people, just the way that they're brought up. I'm not white myself, but I was brought up in a white family, and white people are conditioned to see themselves as the norm, so it can be really unsettling for people who are from the dominant privileged group to think of themselves with those names. You know, if you look at, for example, the PPE masks at the moment, if you look at the tan skin tones, it's for white people's skin. White people tend to think of themselves as the norm. And we can see this in issues of the transgender community, for example. A lot of people get really angry at the idea of being called cisgender, which literally just means that you agree with the gender identity you were given at birth. But it's because we as cis people are used to thinking of ourselves as the norm. We don't like it when we have a label. Some straight people can find it uncomfortable when they're referred to as straight people or as heterosexual because they've never had to think of themselves as a thing other than the norm, the blueprint. And another reason why I'm talking a lot to white people is that I know I have a lot of white viewers on my channel, and the sort of circles that I mix with, I'm actually very in touch with a lot of white middle class media figures and people who are influencers, and many of whom are really good people. But you can be a really good person, but if you don't examine your privilege, if you don't think about that, then it's no good, you know, just using the hashtag Black Lives Matter. Like, what are you actually doing to help? So these are the people that I'm talking to, and I've been in that boat before, because when I was younger, instinctively, when I was told that, oh, you have privilege because you're, like, white, I'm not white, but, you know, white passing, my instinctive reaction was to get defensive. I think that's quite normal, but you have to get past that. And I'm seeing that from people I like and people I respect, and my respect for them is dimming so much. It is so difficult. And I don't want to address anyone directly because there are so many people who I hope will see this and think about this. You know, I know of so many white middle-class media figures, some of them women, who use the progressive label as part of almost a brand. You know, that's how they have their careers. But when things like this happen, they're not doing the work, they're silent. And it's the most frustrating thing, because you see these same people upholding systems of inequality, structural racism. They are complicit in it, not just even because they don't speak. In some cases, these people willfully use those systems to their own advantage. So something I wanted to talk about is white female fragility, and this ties into the greater subject of what's going on right now in America. So let's talk about the Amy Cooper situation. So I saw Amy Cooper's name trending a few days ago, and this is a woman who was asked by a man called Christian Cooper, who's African American, if she would please put her dog on a lead, because she was supposed to have her dog on a lead in Central Park. And her reaction to this was to become very hostile. She said she was going to ring the police. She rang the police and told them that an African American man was threatening her life. And thank God that we have this on camera, because we see her increasingly, about 3 times, putting on the drama, putting on this fake fear and hysteria. She's almost fake hyperventilating by the end of it, because she's so determined that these police are going to come down here and they're going to arrest Christian Cooper or worse. And she is aware of that. This is a white woman that knows the hierarchy she's in. She instantly knew that the way to get at this black man was to threaten him with the police. She knew the words she chose. A lot of people are saying, oh, maybe she really did feel threatened. She knows. I mean, you know, if you ring the police and you tell them an African-American man is threatening my life and my dog's life, what Amy Cooper was doing, and what she knew she was doing, is that she was using the racist system as a threat towards Christian, and she was potentially willing to get him murdered. Look at the history, and we still see it today, but the history of black men who were lynched, who were killed because a white woman spoke against them. Innocent black men who are considered to be dangerous and aggressive, and people wouldn't take their side against the virtuous white woman who puts the tears on. And that is why feminism must be intersectional, and why I talk about white feminism, because it is no good for white feminists to be out there pushing for the rights of white women but ignoring or making worse the struggles of men of colour. Because as we've seen in these situations, it is not always a situation of, oh, because women are oppressed, they're the ones who are the victim versus a man. No, there's other factors at play. Race is a major factor. Now, how does this apply to what I'm talking about with influencers and media people and figures online who perhaps mean well? We have to dissect this. We have to look at this basic idea. This basic idea with Amy Cooper and Christian Cooper is the idea that a woman can present herself as the victim. She can very easily present that brown man, that black man, as the aggressive force. And she knows that she will have the power of popular opinion with her. Now, thank God it was recorded, because if it wasn't recorded, then I think we all know that we might well have seen Christian Cooper's name trending first as another name, as someone who was murdered, and the story would be from so many people that, oh, he must have done something wrong, he must have been aggressive, oh, he tried to kill this woman and her dog. So what can you do as someone who is a white, progressive, online? And I'm friends with so many people like this. I don't want to do a personal call out. I can think of so many names, and it's so incredibly disappointing. Every time that a white so-called progressive woman decides to use that idea of white fragility to get people on side against a brown man, they are playing into this idea. And I know it's not to such an extreme, but we have to look at these patterns. This is where it comes from. And if you're playing into that, then you are part of the problem. There's no good just tweeting hashtag Black Lives Matter if you're also painting yourself as the innocent victim of men of colour online when you disagree with them. How often is a white woman called out online for her racism, for her tone policing, for the way that she is acting? If she is called out by someone who is minority, who is a person of colour, by a black person, how many times do we see this turn into a poor little me routine? Poor me, I'm being bullied by these horrible people of colour, and you know what you're doing when you do that, when you paint these people of colour as these destructive, negative, terrible, dangerous forces. For example, how many times do we see celebrities, white women, get caught out saying the N-word or saying or doing something racist? Now, when black people call this out, instead of just saying, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it, it was wrong, I'm going to change, or I already have changed, we see the same routine every time. We see the same victim routine. And because of the society we live in, as we see, the narrative gets shifted. All of a sudden it becomes all about this poor white woman getting bullied, even though she's really sorry, even though she hasn't actually apologised properly. And look at these terrible black people, these terrible people of colour, trying to call her out, trying to cancel her. Time and time again I see this. And I think that if you play into that as a white person, as a white passing person, then you are part of the problem. You are stoking those fires. You are letting those hierarchies, that white supremacy, you're letting that work to your advantage. And we can't do that. Something else I'm seeing among these usually white middle class people online, influencers, people who have platforms, is that people are so quiet. I mean, I'm seeing the occasional Black Lives Matter hashtag, and that appears to be it, but there's no further discussion. There's no retweeting of the bail fund that you can donate to for people who are being arrested. I will put the link to that in the description box. I've donated myself. You can donate whatever amount of money you want. If you're from the UK, you can donate $10 US. For us, that's only about £8 or something. So, you know, if you've got that spare money, no pressure if you haven't, but if you've got that, then it would be a really great thing that you could do. But it's this sort of, this centrist mindset that I talk about all the time with regard to other subjects, with politics, with society, in fandom. It all ties together. The idea of the moderate. Now, Martin Luther King himself, who is often cited by these centrists as, you know, oh, he wouldn't have agreed with this. He was so peaceful that he loved everyone, and, you know, he was all about non-violent protest. He also spoke about the white moderate. So Martin Luther King said, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than justice. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. And you don't often see that cited by these people. So if you are a white person out there who is spreading the idea of peace and love over hate every time, and oh, I agree, but don't get angry, and oh, I agree, but I'm not sure I agree with this rioting, you need to stop. We are seeing the murder of black people, innocent black people, by the force that are supposed to protect them. They are living in fear of this force. People were protesting in Minneapolis because Derek Chauvin, who murdered George Floyd on camera, he kept his knee on his neck, he suffocated him, he crushed him for 7 minutes, even though people were begging, people were telling him, please, he can't breathe, you are killing him. He didn't care, and the officers around him, they did nothing. They stood there like it was nothing, like that man's life, like George Floyd's life meant nothing. They are protesting that. Yesterday, Derek Chauvin, thank God, got arrested, but I still think he only got arrested for his own protection, to be honest, at this point. But before he was even arrested, the police managed to arrest a CNN journalist. People are protesting and they are rioting for justice. People aren't doing it for fun. I'm seeing loads of these sort of like white centrist figures who think they're so progressive saying, oh, I do agree with it, but I can't help but think that they're hurting their own cause and the memory of George Floyd by doing these terrible protests. People don't protest for the fun of it. These people are putting their lives at risk. They're getting tear gas in their eyes. They're getting rubber bullets fired at them. They're risking actual death. And as for the looting thing, I'm seeing people saying, oh well, I did agree with them until the looting, and I just draw the line at looting. Sorry, human life is more important than looting. And as so many people have pointed out, I've spoken about this before as well. Sorry, but what are you talking about? You're the same people who support institutions in Britain, like pretty much every British museum is full of looted artefacts. Where are you when we're discussing that? Sorry, like you're completely silent. But now, looting from a big corporation like Target, oh dear, that's where I draw the line, and now I guess they're both as bad as each other. They're not both as bad as each other. And people saying, oh, they're setting fires, or they're doing illegal things, they're doing bad illegal things, we must always follow the law. Legality is not always the same as morality, and this is what white middle class centrists do not seem to understand. You guys are so afraid of speaking against the law. It's like, I think in some cases it's because of people's careers. People are so determined to climb the ladder and to have these careers that they don't want to speak out against the law because, oh no, that might make things bad for me, so I'll just be quiet. I don't care about that. You know, with me, I will say what I think. I don't care. Legality does not mean morality. It was legal to own slaves. It was legal for gay men to be put in prison for being gay. Just because something is illegal doesn't necessarily make it wrong. And just because something is legal doesn't necessarily make it right. And these are the same people that I see loving media, which really glorifies, you know, rebellion and fighting back. You know, these are people who I see loving Harry Potter and the Hunger Games. And I'm a big Doctor Who fan, so people who really like Doctor Who and they're really into that idea of fighting back in fiction, and yay, there are heroes, and then when it actually happens in real life, when actual black people and allies are fighting back against the murder of innocent people, somehow it's too much. Sorry, but you people are so fake with your two sides stuff, like, oh, I do agree, but I don't know if I agree with all of it. It's ridiculous. It makes me so angry. And it's exactly what Martin Luther King said. Like, all you're doing is basically blocking the way to progress. Like, if you're gonna say that, just be quiet, shut up, like, don't speak. We don't need a devil's advocate here. And also something I hate, and I speak about this in politics, I speak about this in fandom, I speak about this in all aspects of society, because it all ties up. This idea, this constant idea of love and positivity and be polite and be nice, and the idea to these people, to these centrists, if you truly think that being polite is more important than getting justice, then what is wrong with you? Sorry. Oh, I do agree with what you said, but you were rude the way you said it. Oh my god, like, shut up. People who are oppressed, when there's an injustice, the marginalised, they're not there to beg you for their rights. You know, they don't have to act a certain way and be good, and then because they've been good, they are granted their rights. They deserve their rights. And if you're going on like, oh, well, maybe they should be nicer, and maybe if they did things differently, then people would listen to them. How do you people have tried this so many times. You've had people like Malcolm X, you've had people like Martin Luther King who've tried different ways of doing this. What happened to Martin Luther King? Martin Luther King was murdered by racists. And again, let's not forget what he said about the white moderate. Begging and being nice does not work. You've seen the video, I'm sure, the video of George Floyd being murdered by Officer Chauvin. He begged for his life. The people there begged for his life. Nothing happened. He still died. He was still murdered over about 7 minutes willfully. And by the way, Derek Chauvin, I've read, apparently has been arrested, and the charge is 3rd-degree murder. Right, so this is the definition of 3rd-degree murder, by the way. The unlawful killing of a human being when perpetrated without any design to effect death. You can't tell me that that man did not fully intend to kill George Floyd. You do not crush somebody's neck while people are begging you, please, he's dying. You don't just keep your bloody knee on his neck and murder him. That's not 3rd-degree murder. That is willful murder. And those police that just stood by him, this is something else I'm seeing as well. People get really angry. It's these same types that I'm talking about. Oh, you can't say that police are bad. The police are good. They protect us. You can't say that. First of all, you do not get to tell the oppressed minority who's being murdered by the police how they're supposed to react to that and how they're supposed to feel. That's so patronising. Stop. Second of all, the police are a system that upholds the laws of the government. If the government is corrupt, then the police are corrupt. They will do what the government tell them. Third of all, if there are good police out there, then they will be the ones that are standing up and they are saying, we need to stop this. We need to make sure there is no more racism in the police force. If you're a police officer, if you're a cop in America who is saying nothing, then I'm sorry, you're one of the bad ones. Like, you have to say something. Being silent, that's no good. It's no good. You know, I was reading about Breonna Taylor's murder today. So she was a black woman who was killed in her own home. She was shot in her home because the police decided to go in there without a warrant, without warning. Her boyfriend thought it was a home invasion. They must have been absolutely terrified, and they shot her, and she's dead. Then we've got the horrific case of Ahmaud Arbery, who was jogging, and he was chased down for about 4 minutes by racists in trucks. He was shot down while jogging. And I'm actually seeing people saying, well, maybe he stole something. Maybe the racists were right. Maybe the racists aren't lying. Maybe he stole something. Even if he did steal something, that is not a death sentence. What is wrong with you? You do not shoot somebody dead for stealing something. George Floyd, it was a non-violent crime that they thought he'd committed. They thought, oh, maybe he's forged a check. So what? Okay, if he forged a check, that's dubious. If he forged a check, is that a death sentence? What's wrong with you? And then, unbelievably, we have Donald Trump, the President of the United States. So many of us were so worried when he got into power because this man, he's openly a racist and people want to make excuses for him. And we had the same thing here in Britain with Boris Johnson, who openly speaks with racism and homophobia, but people think, oh, it's fine. They're just funny characters. Like, it's just their way. You know, they're charismatic. It's fine. Donald Trump tweets yesterday, I can't stand back and watch this happen to a great American city, Minneapolis, a total lack of leadership. Either way, the very weak radical left mayor, Jacob Frey, get his act together and bring the city under control, or I will send in the National Guard and get the job done right. And his next tweet is actually obscured by Twitter because it says here, this tweet violated the Twitter rules about glorifying violence. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain accessible. So bear in mind the absolute rubbish that Twitter will keep up. This is bad that they've actually decided to shield this. So to view it, you've got to click on it, and it says, these thugs in capital letters, are dishonouring the memory of George Floyd, and I won't let that happen. Just spoke to Governor Tim Walz and told him that the military is with him all the way. Any difficulty and we will assume control. But when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Thank you. So Donald Trump is now officially threatening protesters with death. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. That's the space we're in right now. That's normal. He's just threatened to kill people for looting. Bear in mind, this is a president that when white Americans didn't want to adhere to lockdown and were protesting fully armed, they were wearing rifles on them while they were protesting because they didn't want to stay in their houses for a little while. He called them good people. He supported them. Now, I would say to anyone who is retweeting this and spreading the word about what's going on in America, if you have pictures of protesters, then it's best not to retweet those because it is a danger to them. The president has openly shown that he is against them, that he is violent, he is ready to kill. So, yeah, please, if you have any pictures of the protesters, don't retweet them. I know that we obviously respect these people so much and we want to know their names because they're brave people putting their lives on the line. But at this point, it's just too dangerous. So please, if you are someone who is doing that or has done that, then get rid of that retweet for their sake. Donald Trump is clearly an evil racist, and I don't care if people don't like me saying that. That's the truth. I mean, who puts out there in this situation when the looting starts, the shooting starts? He's basically giving people the okay to kill people who are protesting. And where the hell are the British politicians in all this? What are the British politicians even saying? I'm seeing mostly radio silence, to be honest, because we're so afraid in this country, in this stupid little country that we've become. Oh, we don't want to offend Donald Trump. Oh, no, we don't want to offend America. Who cares? I don't understand it. Who cares about who you offend? If it's about justice and what is right, then speak. I am so done with cowards who won't speak up. So what if it loses you opportunities or if people don't like you? If it is right, then speak. Do not play the stupid devil's advocate in the middle because you need to keep your position and keep everyone happy. You can't do that. All that's going to do is shift everything further to the right. It just makes life easier for them. Now, somebody who isn't keeping quiet and somebody I admire so much is John Boyega, and I'm going to read you some of his tweets recently, and the responses to this have been mind-blowing, and I'm not surprised because I've seen this online so much, but still, I mean, this is the state we're in, and this is on the people, I'm sorry, but it's on the people who are all positivity only, and don't rock the boat, and oh, I don't really like negativity, oh, let's just be happy and love everything, and oh, when something bad happens, I'm just going to post a face that looks like this, oh no, it's so sad. So John Boyega tweets, I really fucking hate racists, and would you believe it? People have a problem with this because, first of all, he's being too rude. I don't like the fact he used a swear word there. Yes, he's talking about the fact he's just witnessed an innocent black man murdered on camera and that this happens all the time in America, and that we also, here in Britain, John Boyega is from the south of London, we have huge issues with racism here in Britain that people do not want to address. We have a history of colonialism. We have the Windrush generation. We have stop and search. And people are really in there in his mentions trying to tone police him like, oh, but why'd you have to be so rude about it? It's not very nice to say that you hate people. Like, that's mean. Shut up. What is wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with being angry at injustice. There's nothing wrong at hating racists. You people who've started this weird positivity only and love only, you've messed everything up. I'm sorry, but you haven't. You've made it easy for racists, because now you've made it into a situation where when people who are marginalised and oppressed are angry at injustice, they are made the villains because they're not being positive enough, and all their tone's a bit nasty, and it's more important to be polite than to speak about justice. And then you've actually got people saying, there was someone who said to John Boyega, oh, but that makes you just as bad as the racist because you're hating a group of people. I'm sorry, hating a group of people because of the colour of their skin and thinking they are lesser because of the colour of their skin is different from hating a group of people because they hate people for the colour of their skin. Like, I'm sorry, if someone punches you in the face and you hate them because they punched you in the face, that's not the same as them hating you and deciding to punch you in the face for no reason. I don't understand why people don't get this, and I don't know if centrists are just stupid or if they're complicit. And so many people who call themselves progressive have this pathetic, I'm sorry it is, this pathetic positivity only mindset. What are you doing? You're silencing the marginalised, the oppressed. You are part of it all. You are complicit. You are joining up with the oppressors. You're making it so damn easy. Something I love about John Boyega is that he made a video afterwards and he said, look, I was brought up by strong people and, you know, whatever you say to me, it doesn't matter. He said, look, he's an actor. Acting is his craft and it's his job. But that does not mean anything when it comes to his opinions. He's not going to be silenced. And we need more people like him in this world. And he also said it again. He said it again on video, proudly. He said, I hate racist white people, because there is nothing wrong with that. Like, I am actually part of the Doctor Who fandom. I really like that. And there's, in every fandom though, in every situation, there's this cursed quote that I hear all the time, and it's used by these sort of liberal, middle sort of centrists, peace and love, and it's hate is always foolish and love is always wise. And there's one of these for every fandom and every group, and it's cursed. It's cursed, the idea. There is nothing wrong with hating injustice, with hating murderers, with hating people who kill and perpetuate injustice. That is normal. It's fine to feel negatively about terrible, negative things happening in the world. If you think it's only okay to be positive about everything, you're not changing everything, you're making everything worse. Okay, I think I'm done, but I'm so angry. I cannot believe that it's not just the situation, you know, seeing these terrible things happen, which are so upsetting, and knowing that they happen all the time. And the feeling also of not being able to do anything to help, although there are some things we can do to help, and I'll put them in the description box. But it's this tone policing of people's reactions to murder. We have really got to that point where this stupid, fake positivity movement, God knows why. I think it's for vapid people who can't handle actually thinking about things critically in any sort of way. So the world has to be perfect all the time. You people are ruining society. I'm sorry, but you are. We are at a point where a black person on Twitter cannot even say, I hate racists. I fucking hate racists, without you people jumping on there like devil's advocate. Like, oh, I do agree, but if only you weren't so rude about it. You people are complicit in this whole structure and you need to sort it out. There is nothing wrong with people being angry about injustice. There is nothing wrong about people protesting injustice. And those people who say, oh, I don't want anger in my lives. And you know what, if you're a person of colour, then, you know, how you respond is up to you. But if you're a white person saying, oh, I don't really want the anger in my life, that is your privilege, because you don't have to feel that anger in your life. That's not your life. You know, you don't have to think about it. You can just sit there on the sidelines and judge while you're complicit and you benefit from the system of white supremacy. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm so angry. But so much respect to the people that are protesting, and I just pray that there will be justice and that something will change. Okay, I love you loads. Again, look in the description box, because I'll put the fund, the bail fund there, and information that you might need. I'll try and put all that in the description box. I love you loads. I'll see you really soon. If you're someone who's here to be all like, oh, all lives matter, or anyone, if you're a racist or anything like that, I don't care. Like, I'm taking a leaf out of John Boyega's book here. Like, say what you want. I don't care. I'm right. Okay, I love you loads, and I'll see you really soon. Also, that should be on your conscience. I mean, that's on your conscience. You are perpetuating racism and somehow playing devil's advocate for murderers. So, you know, let that be on your conscience. I love you loads, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.